Adrenal health and HPA axis dysregulation is a popular topic in the health and wellness space. And this is for good reason, because your adrenal glands provide feedback and receive communication from your brain, your nervous system, your immune system. They receive hormonal input and give hormonal input. They influence and are influenced by gut health, our metabolism, and the environment. Unfortunately, most conversations about adrenal health and HPA dysregulation start and end with cortisol and the stress response. We hear about cortisol being too high, we hear about it being too low or not at the right rhythm. And although this is one aspect of adrenal health, it's only a small part of the picture because when we take a deeper look into the physiology, adrenal function is a lot more complex. So today I want to discuss with you the bigger picture of adrenal health from a system-based perspective and why we need to look beyond cortisol and just simply our stress response. And importantly, I'm going to weave in how essential oils fit so well into this integrative picture to assist with addressing many of the triggers that lead to dysregulated HPA axis function and adrenal health issues. In case you're new, my name is Dr. Sarah. I am a naturopathic doctor and functional medicine practitioner and essential oils expert. And I've been in practice for nearly 20 years. I've worked with clients looking at the deeper connections between symptoms, systems, and root causes. So, first, let's get an overview of what the adrenal glands are and what they actually do. Going a little bit deeper, the adrenal glands are small glands that sit on top of the kidneys, but don't let their size fool you. They play a very big role. They produce hormones involved in stress adaptation. We've talked about cortisol. They also influence our blood sugar regulation, our metabolism, inflammation, immune function, our blood pressure, electrolyte balance, and even sex hormone pathways. But one of the biggest misconceptions is that they're all about cortisol, and it's often portrayed that cortisol is a villain hormone that downregulates all other hormones, and we need to have it regulated or it'll cause all kinds of havoc. But cortisol is actually an essential hormone. It helps us adapt, respond, recover, and survive when stressors hit. Furthermore, there are so many moving parts of the picture of the stress response. Cortisol is only one of them. So the goal for adrenal health is not simply to address cortisol levels. It's actually to support the body's ability to appropriately respond to stress at all levels and return it back to balance for restoration. And what this means is that the goal is to understand that full process and all the interactive and interwoven parts. But first, to do that, we have to start upstream, where stress starts, which is in the brain. So when you think of the stress response, most people miss this part. Stress begins at the level of perception, specifically with how the brain and body interpret what is happening internally as well as externally. This can include emotional stress, and of course, that's a big part of how we perceive our stressors. But it also includes physiological stressors such as blood sugar fluctuations, inflammation, poor sleep, nutrient deficiencies, environmental exposures, infections, digestive disruptions, and hormonal changes. Basically, anything that's causing a disruption of how the body normally is regulated and stays at a homeostasis or balance. So the adrenal glands play a key role in responding to these different signals, and they're a part of an intricate regulation response. They are influenced and receive signals again from the brain, the nervous system, the immune system, and our endocrine system. So this is where essential oils come in as a powerful intervention for helping to regulate the stress response and our adrenal gland output, because essential oils are complex botanical compounds that interact with the body through multiple pathways. When we inhale essential oils, their aromatic molecules communicate with the olfactory system and areas of the brain that are involved in emotion, memory, and autonomic regulation of the nervous system. This is called psychoaromatherapy, and this is why it's so relevant, because the sense of smell has a direct relationship with areas of the brain involved in our stress response, emotional processing, and our ability to shift from a state of activation into a state of safety and regulation. We can literally inhale a scent and help regulate our nervous system and stress response in an instant. We also need to discuss stress physiology kind of in the broader lens of what I discussed, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, or the HPA axis. This communication pathway connects the brain regions involved in hormonal output to the adrenal glands. Again, here's where essential oils can intercept. Research suggests that essential oils can influence stress physiology through several mechanisms related to the HPA axis response, include supporting cortisol regulation, influencing neurotransmitter activity, modulating inflammation, including neural inflammation, and affecting autonomic nervous system balance. Lavender or bergamot, for example, are two essential oils that have been studied for their effects on stress-related pathways, and essential oils are commonly used clinically to support nervous system regulation and vagal tone. So we can use this aromatic input to help the body experience more signals of safety and regulation at the level of perception and interfacing with the neuroendocrine system, our nervous system, as well as our neurotransmitters and our hormone responses. In turn, this can offer our body better ability to help regulate itself, to repair, to turn on rest and digest, to connect, and just to recover. Now, another part of this piece of the adrenal health that often gets overlooked is its relationship with our gut. So the gut and the brain are actually in constant communication through the gut-brain axis. You've probably heard of that by now. Now, this involves the vagus nerve. It involves a specific immune signaling from the gut and the brain, microbial metabolites that are made in the microbiome of our gut from the little bacteria and microbes that live down there, and our hormonal pathways. Now, if we have digestive dysfunction, inflammation, or shifts in our microbiome and bad bacteria or good bacteria, these all influence our stress physiology, and it creates a form of dysregulation. So stress itself, emotional stress, or any form of stress, is influential on digestion. And this two-way conversation can get intercepted. So here is where the gut-brain adrenal axis kind of exists. I just coined that term. We'll see if it comes up in scientific literature. But essential oils can support the connection through several properties that have been studied in relation to gut health. We already talked about how they impact our brain, but they also have antimicrobial activity. They help with inflammatory balance. They help with digestive support in general, and nervous system regulation, which impacts our gut and our motility. So we have stress at the level of perception. We have stress from the HPA axis, stress in the gut, and essential oils can intervene in all of these areas. What about blood sugar? Well, blood sugar is an often overlooked aspect of adrenal health. When blood sugar drops, the body actually activates stress pathways to restore balance. We need glucose in order to run away from the proverbial tiger or threat. So over time, what happens is if there's repeated blood sugar fluctuations from these stressors, they place an additional demand on our adrenal glands and our stress response system. In fact, when we think about cortisol, it's not only a stress hormone, it impacts our ability to modulate inflammation and help us deal with the stressors. One of its effects is actually maintaining glucose availability. So this is why supporting adrenal resilience means that we're going to look at things like nutrition, sleep, movement, metabolic health, and lifestyle factors. And we're also going to look at things like inflammation and oxidative stress, because these can impact blood sugar as well as adrenal health, because modern life exposes us to many of these stressors, including environmental burdens, these infections, and other inflammatory triggers from metabolic imbalances that may be in our system at this point. The cool thing with all of these triggers is that many essential oil compounds have been studied to help with antioxidants and anti-inflammatory activity, and they can support the body's ability to adapt to these changes. So when these triggers such as sleep disruption and all of these other things that can impact our blood sugar, besides just what we eat, essential oils can come in as a supportive tool for that. When we think of essential oils and adrenal health, or for any aspect of health, we want to think of them as more amphoteric. So what this means is these plants help guide, or compounds help guide the body toward balance rather than forcing it in one direction. So adaptogens are specifically for stress resilience, whereas amphoterics actually help bring the body back into balance through all aspects of our physiology. So they don't fix a symptom or they don't fix an organ. What they do is they help the body regulate back to its natural balance. They're harmonizers and they provide signals that support the body's own ability to adapt and to regulate. So if we look at the bigger picture, one of the common things that people ask me is what essential will help with this? And for adrenals, what essential oils will help with my adrenal glands? But I have to step back and I have to think as a naturopathic and functional medicine practitioner at the bigger system-based picture. We want to look at what symptoms they're experiencing. Is it nervous system issues? Are they having problems sleeping? Is their blood sugar off balance? Is their digestion off? Is there chronic inflammation? How is their emotional reactivity? So all of these factors will determine which essential oil may help bring about regulation. And just as addressing adrenal health isn't just going to be about chasing cortisol, one essential oil isn't necessarily going to fix all of these pieces of the puzzles at once, but they will provide a synergy and they fit beautifully into root cause naturopathic and functional medicine approach because they work with the complexity of the body rather than trying to override it. So adrenal health and HPA axis regulation is about supporting resilience, and essential oils are because to support these aspects because they're multifaceted and they support many of these processes in our physiology that impact the stress regulation and all of these different communication pathways all at once. So this was just a quick summary of my overview article on essential oils and adrenal health. I really dive deeper into the science. I give you some resources as well as the studies. So you'll want to check that out on my website. And if you would like guidance from a naturopathic and functional medicine doctor on how essential oils could be the missing piece in your wellness protocols and how they can mix with supplements and even conventional approaches while you're working with your conventional integrative doctor, I'm happy to provide additional resources for you. You'll want to subscribe to my newsletter. You want to subscribe to my YouTube channel and watch for when spaces open up for my essential oil consults. I want to thank you for watching today, and I will see you in the next video.